Never underestimate the power of the Schwartz.
We've stacked up a lot of 30th anniversaries this summer in the Cult Classics department, and we're adding to that stack with another one today. Technically, this anniversary hit back in June, but we had to do our Shaun of the Dead episode that week because Baby Driver was coming out. We wanted to do a whole Edgar Wright thing. You know what? I'm not going to walk you through the inner workings of why we do what when. That might not have been English. Here are 7 things you didn't know about Spaceballs. Probably. Watch out! Spaceballs is a spoof of the space movie genre as a whole, but most will agree that its biggest source of spoofication would have to be Star Wars. Spoofication? Who wrote this?
I can't breathe in this thing!
Anyway, despite the fact that Spaceballs is a parody, they definitely didn't skimp on the effects. They're pretty good. And for 1987, they're crazy good. And that's because Industrial Light and Magic did them. That's right, not only did Mel Brooks get George Lucas's blessing before doing Spaceballs, he hired Lucas's company to do all the bells and whistles in post-production. In the end, ILM did somewhere in the neighborhood of $5 million worth of effects on Spaceballs.
Holy shit!
To give you some perspective, that's roughly 1/5 the overall budget for Spaceballs, which, with a little bit of basic math, is, boom, a bonus thing you didn't know. In fact, the escape pod launch was originally created for A New Hope, but was never used, so they managed to work it into Spaceballs. Boom, another bonus thing. Boom, moving on. George Lucas okaying Spaceballs didn't come without any strings attached. In fact, there was one pretty huge string. Spaceballs was not allowed to do any merch whatsoever. That's actually the main reason there's the running joke about Spaceballs merchandise throughout the film. Fact is, if they did make Spaceballs toys, they'd look way too similar to Star Wars toys. So, Lucas vetoed all Spaceballs merchandising from the start. In fact, some of the fake merch in the movie is real merch from other properties, like this. This lunchbox and Spaceballs the coloring book are really a Transformers lunchbox and coloring book. You can even see that Optimus Prime is on the cover. I guess the property master just said, "F it, I am barely going to change these props." Sounds like he had some real Spaceballs of his own. Ugh, that was horrible. I'm sorry, guys. We got a new writer or something? What's going on?
May the Schwartz be with you.
Next thing.
Adorable.
Here's a little Star Wars Easter egg you may have missed. It's nothing much, just, oh, I don't know, the Millennium Falcon parked outside of Gus's Galaxy Grill. For f***'s sake. It's just another way for Spaceballs to tip its cap to the franchise that inspired it so heavily. Not to mention all of the fan theories that could arise from this bit of information, because this is basically confirmation that Spaceballs and Star Wars are in fact in the same universe. I mean, is Han Solo somewhere in that diner? We may never know unless they finally get around to doing Spaceballs 2 after all these years. In a related story, please don't ever do Spaceballs 2.
Spaceballs 2, the search for more money.
Pizza the Hutt!
Well, if it isn't Lone Star and his sidekick, Puke.
That's Barf.
Despite having relatively little screen time, Pizza the Hutt is one of the most memorable characters in Spaceballs. But it was so miserable being inside that costume, you almost literally couldn't pay people to play him. Most people know that Pizza the Hutt was voiced by Dom DeLuise, but he wasn't the guy who was actually in there. That job went to a guy from the effects crew named Richard Caron. At first. Problem was, the costume was made largely from actual pizza, which they had to rig with heaters to melt and look the way it does in the film. They didn't get very far along in the shoot before Caron started crying out for help because the costume had gotten so hot it actually started smoking. And rather than getting burned alive, Caron refused to get in the costume again. Another guy from the effects team named Rick Lazzarini had to take his place just so they could finish everything.
You're delicious. Ciao, boys.
Good on Lazzarini though, taking one for the team. Dot Matrix was played by the iconic Joan Rivers, rest in peace. But, much like with Pizza the Hutt, Joan was spared ever having to get inside of the costume. In fact, Joan was almost not a part of Spaceballs at all. A mime named Laureen Yarnell was in the costume, and she was also going to voice Dot Matrix at first. But Mel Brooks felt that her performance just didn't hit the mark he wanted, so he called Joan.
Here I am. I'm sorry. I had to make a pit stop. I'm so excited. I couldn't hold my oil.
He asked her if she could come in to do the voice and write some jokes, and she agreed, without even knowing what Spaceballs was. Obviously, she said yes, and everything worked out great. Well, maybe not super great for the mime lady. Anyway, quick bonus thing. They made 6 Dot Matrix suits to use in the film, and they wound up needing all 6 because the suits kept breaking.
Hey, stop looking at my can.
Even so, hers still wasn't even the most challenging costume on set. Segway.
I'm a Mog. Half man, half dog. I'm my own best friend.
The dearly departed John Candy truly brought Barf to life. The character, not actual Barf, obviously.
Funny.
But he didn't do it alone. There were guys from the effects department who were in charge of controlling Barf's ears. One guy for each ear, in fact. And John Candy was responsible for the tail, using a control that was hidden in his palm. He also had to wear a battery pack on his back that weighed around 30 pounds to power the animatronic parts of his costume. Because John Candy was the absolute best, odds are that he never complained about it once. Wistfully moving on.
Dear me, what are those things coming out of her nose?
Spaceballs?
Oh, shit. There goes the planet.
Spaceballs. It's about as goofy as a movie title can get. But you probably didn't know that the original title of the movie was Planet Moron. But Mel Brooks felt that the movie needed to have the word space somewhere in the title. He knew it needed to be space something. While brainstorming titles with the other writers, Thomas Meehan and Ronnie Graham, Brooks accidentally spilled something on himself and yelled balls in frustration. Meehan and Graham realized right away that what Brooks had actually spilled was inspiration.
What?
Seriously? Spilled inspiration. Who wrote this? Somebody new? No, I don't like it. No, it does matter what I think. I'm the one that's got to read it. Yeah, whatever. All right, so yeah, off of Mel Brooks yelling the word balls, they finally filled in the blank space in their space movie title. And thus, Spaceballs became the name. That's going to do it for us today, but good luck getting the Spaceballs theme song out of your head for the rest of the day. It's very difficult. And hit the thumbs up if you want to see a part 2. Thanks for watching, and subscribe to CineFix for more true-ish things about movies and sometimes Spaceballs. Watch out! Right here on Things You Didn't Know.
How many assholes we got on this ship anyhow?
Yo!
I knew it. I'm surrounded by assholes.